claiming.
Yeah, cool. So I've got one final question from me, and then a request, and then we'll go on to audience questions, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So this one's a little bit of a long one. So a lot of members of the veteran and blue light communities have had their lives, especially their mental health, turned around quite dramatically in some cases, and more than a few, including myself, openly admit that they probably wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for you making that seemingly insignificant decision back in 2017. And having this strength and determination to turn that decision into M4H, the one we know and love today. So how does it feel knowing that there's so many families across the UK and beyond that only have their loved ones with them today because of you, your team, and what you've all achieved?
Good God. It's overwhelming, really. It's impossible to even put into words how proud I am of what I've done, but also what everyone else has managed to do in terms of volunteering. I have a very good committee of 9 directors who steer me in the right direction and steer Models for Heroes in the right direction. They're really committed. I'm really committed to them. We have amazing volunteers who understand what we do, and we couldn't do anything at all without our volunteers. So yeah, it feels great that I've managed to help some people, even in just a little way. As much as any hobby, I guess, if you're into it, and it gives you some sort of distraction, and lets your brain go to somewhere happy for a little while. It's gonna de-stress you. And I'm also thankful for everyone who donates as well. I mean, you heard the amount of kits we sent out since the beginning, 11,000 kits plus. When you look around the shelves at M4H HQ, you see all the kits there. You remember that they've all been donated by somebody who understands the effect of modeling can have on somebody and how it improves their day. And I'm really thankful for them as well. But yeah, it's funny because a lot of people say it's like a model shop you don't have to buy anything from. But it's also when we have donors come in and they bring their wives in, they kind of all of a sudden they kind of get it as soon as they come in there. They go, oh, I see why you'd want to be doing this. This is fine, and trying to win the hearts and minds of the wives sometimes and the family that they should leave their husband or wife alone so that they can actually enjoy their hobby. It's important.
We all need a bit of alone time sometimes.
Yes, we do. Yeah, and it's really, really important. Just not to be always in the spotlight, having to perform and be. Just leave someone alone for a couple of hours a week in front of a couple of kits, and they'll be happy.
So finally, someone who is in a similar situation to what we've just mentioned, whether they be veteran or blue light, could be watching this right now or in the future. So what I'd like to invite you to do is to take a second just to speak to them directly about why they should reach out and get themselves referred to Models for Heroes.
Yeah. Okay. If you're if you're struggling, and you are concerned about asking for help, just remember that asking for help is part of looking after yourself. Admitting that you've got difficulties is difficult because there's a lot of shame involved. There's a lot of stiff upper lipness. There's a lot of feelings that you need to be able to cope. But to be able to cope and do the right thing, you need to ask for help, because there are people out here who want to help in whatever way they can. So, do get involved. Do get in contact. Go and see your GP. Ask for a referral for Models for Heroes. Fill in a self-referral. If it's not for you, it's not for you. Nothing's lost. A lot of people say, I don't want to get help because there are people worse off than me. Yeah, there are people worse off than you, but that does not mean that you can't get the help. There's a limited supply, if you are in a good state of mind and your mental health is solid, you will be able to help other people too that are worse than you.
Yeah.
Right. Which is important. But yeah, just bloody do it. Just, suck it up, bloody do it, and ask for some help.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah. You'd be surprised how much it can change things around.
Yeah. You don't get a medal for struggling.
No.
Or do you? No, you don't. No. Not from us, anyway.
I know it's turned my life around anyway.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. So what would you say to somebody then?
I would say to reach out. Don't be afraid. There's this whole thing about because you're a bloke or whatever, you got to tough it out, or you're a police officer, you got to tough it out. You're a soldier, you got to. It's all a load of rubbish, right?
Dangerous.
At the end of the day, there's nothing more important than your mental health and your own safety. You can't help other people if you're struggling yourself. And in fact, you're in those sort of jobs, you're probably more likely to do harm if your mind's not on the job.
Yeah.
So it's better to reach out. Just say, look, even if you don't say you've got a problem, just say, I want a bit of support. And you might just learn a new hobby and just power on your own, which is great. Which is how I started with it. And now I've ended up doing YouTube.
Yes.
But, yeah. But don't be afraid to reach out and talk to someone. You can end up talking to Malcolm. We've had some great chats.
We have, yes, we have. I think that's what I would say. Is just reach out, see what happens. What's the worst that can happen? I always talk about being triple locked as well with men. So men are taught to stand straight and take it on the chin, all that sort of thing. Being English, well, I am. We're taught to have a stiff upper lip, and say by Jove. And in the army, in the military, you're taught to cope and man up and be a team player, and doesn't encourage you to ask for help. So you're kind of triple locked in all those different ways, which is bullshit because it's not going to help you if you don't ask for help, and you're not looked down on at all. In fact, if you do ask for help, you're taking control of your situation, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're actually saying, I don't have the tools with me here to do this.
Yeah.
I need to go and get the tools and get some advice.
Yeah.
So, if you didn't have the right socket set, you wouldn't just try and use your fingers to try and open your sockets up, would you? You'd go and buy a proper socket set. It's the same thing, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, I always remember there was one time where I'd really struggled, and it was. I think you probably remember the time I'm on about because I wrote about it in the SitRep.
Yeah.
And one of the best pieces of advice UNICEF gave was, it's okay to cry, but don't cry on your own.
Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. I like that. Yeah. That's very true. Yeah, we're all crying inside somehow. Life's tough. Life's hard.
Yeah.
It is really hard, and it's easier if we're all doing it together and we're admitting it's hard, So, get in touch.
Yeah. So hopefully that's not been too painful for you, Malcolm.
No, it's been fine. It's just been a normal chat, apart from we're not rolling dice in between.
Well, yeah. Actually, funny you should mention that. I did actually get some dice mats the other day.
Oh, very nice. Are they branded?
No, because I found that when I was rolling on my cutting mat, the dice were just skidding across the desk because it's too smooth.
Yeah.
So across the bottom, we've had the different contact details as well. There's also a really good documentary done about Models for Heroes, which is on the Facebook page, and it was posted on the 12th of January 2024. So if you scroll down to then, look for that date, you'll find a documentary. It's half hour long. It's really, really good.
Which one is that? Is it the
new one?
The new one, yeah. Yeah, that was fun. And that basically followed around for 6 months to every show I went to.
Yeah.
and interviewed everybody. Yeah, it's good.
So we've got some audience questions.
Okay.
Gary Morris asks, where do you see Models for Heroes in 5 years' time?
Gary Morris asks. That's a really good question. So, Models for Heroes has a trouble with sustainability. In that, when I have my stroke, Gary, when I have my stroke, nobody's going to know where to look for emails. Nobody's going to know where the spreadsheets are. And I don't like that because it's a fallible system. Yeah. Because we only have volunteers, you only can ask people to do so much and not dedicate as much time as I have. So we need to employ some people. We need employees, but we don't have the money to do that because everything we spend goes on what we do. So we have been trying to get grants lately, this year and year before, from different places to pay for the salary of people that can look after Models for Heroes. And we get a proper manager. We can get someone who to recruit volunteers, someone to do fundraising, and keep an eye on that. And at the moment, we haven't got anyone. So that would be something I would like to have in 5 years' time, to have employees of Models for Heroes who can carry it on in my demise, right? And it sounds a bit macabre, but it's true. I know when I've been ill, nothing happens.
Listening, because a lot of veterans organisations, they, especially ones that shut down, what tends to happen is they lose funding and they fight to the last day. And then all of a sudden they just go, sorry, we can't do it. We're not opening tomorrow. And it sends lads into a spiral then.
Yeah. And then they're all still worried about GDPR and can't contact the veterans that they've let down. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And I don't want that. Fortunately, part of our governance requires us to have a year's worth of financials in reserve. So we've kept finances in reserve in case something like COVID comes along and all of a sudden there's no model shows to raise money for. And we've still got beneficiaries to provide for, and we haven't got an income. So we've got a year in the bank, if you like. Basically, enough so that we can carry on in that time. But yeah, there's no sustainability currently, and it's something that needs to be fixed soon. So yeah, in 5 years' time, employees, Models for Heroes, and what I'd also like is to be able to run modeling sessions at the HQ. Right. So you want a day out, come down to HQ, you grab a kit off the shelf, and by the end of the day, you've built it, and you're out the door. And we have some riotously good chats in between, and drink all the tea, and all the hobnobs we can. That would be great. That would be really, really good. But yeah, it would require getting an even larger premises and somebody who's going to be there 9 to 5 as well. So that's the 5-year plan.
Funny you should mention hobnobs, because my moderator's she's paid in hobnobs.
Oh wow, is that one hobnob per show?
She's getting 2 packs at Telford.
Oh, I see, 2 packs per year.
If she's good.
I don't know what the rate is for moderation.
Oh, she puts a lot of hard work in, bless her. I do appreciate it. Julian, I gave you a question from Julian before. So I don't know if you want to give a quick answer to that.
Can you remind me what it was?
The one about sprue goo and sprues.
Oh yeah. Okay. All sort of fundraising ideas are brilliant. But as long as they don't require us to do anything. If you want to go and fundraise for us, please do. Go and do the things, but we can only really do the things that we do. We don't have any resources to make stuff. But the trouble with it as well is, the sprue glue needs to be properly controlled chemically. You need to have safety procedures in place for making all these things. And yeah, I don't think anyone makes any sprue glue. Do they actually make it?
I don't know.
It's just kind of like a concoction people have.
I know it's probably a cosh nightmare.
I wouldn't want to go. It's difficult enough sending out paints sometimes. Even storing paints, we have to store them in a certain way. Aerosols as well. And yes, it's a cost nightmare. But if there is any fundraising opportunity in it, then go ahead and fundraise.
Yeah.
But we just don't have the time to branch out into other things, unfortunately.
Yeah. So another question for Julian was, which is more important, creating a distraction activity via the modelling for the veterans and the Blue Light members, or the community it creates?
Ooh, which one is more important? That's a good one. I don't know which one's more important. Probably the community then. The community side of things was a nice consequence. It's something we hadn't planned on at all, and it has branched into loads of, like this, for instance. Your little community is branched off from M4H, which is awesome. I guess it's given you the confidence maybe to try something like that.
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah. So
yeah, absolutely.
That's important. I guess the distraction side of things is a good starter.
Yeah,
because it shows that you can be distracted by things that you do enjoy, right? And then from then on, you don't need me anymore. You go and do your own thing.
We do.
No, but I think once you know that, you can then take that and use that knowledge that you are able to be distracted from the bad stuff. So yeah, probably the community then, because that's long lasting, isn't it? And that's going to affect more people, and more people are going to be brought into it from, or heard about model spheres from lots of different places. So yeah, community. I say
I'd agree with that, because you got likes of me, John Marley, and Gary Morris. We speak to each other pretty much every day.
Yeah,
if we're not doing live streams, we're on Discord.
Yeah, that's right. And you're affecting the people that are watching in a good way or a bad way, but you are influencing them as much as you can. You are promoting the cause. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Kieran from Pitts Kits has sent 3 questions for you. He says, does Malcolm see the M4H model being rolled out to other groups of beneficiaries from different backgrounds? So not the actual organization itself, but the model, the way of doing it.
Oh, I see. Yeah, sure. I mean, I have had a couple of meetings lately with people who run autism groups for adults, and they were asking what are the effects and benefits and things like that. So I said, go, set it up. We can't help you, but unfortunately, unless you are, received the king's wage. But certainly I'm up for sharing the cause and how it helps. That's it can happen to any. It can be helped.
Yeah.
Hang on, what's the word? It's an open medicine for anyone. Just the M4H happens to be who it is for.
Yeah. Well, I was watching an interview with Pete Waterman this morning before we came on here, and that's one of the things he was saying, because where he's got his train set and his train club, he next door there's a school for kids that have got severe mental illness and things, and they encourage the kids to take part in the club. They do lessons and teach them how to do model making and how to set up the trains and stuff, and the kids love it. And it's actually calmed the behavior down.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just something that you enjoy and you want to put time into. It is the key. It's not for everyone. Obviously, not everybody likes model making, but if you do, get involved. That's the research that we did. We got involved with is we found that if you are engaged in model making, it will improve your mood.
Yes.
Yeah. So if we send you a load of models and you're not interested, it's not just going to sit there on a shelf. Nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
You have to get engaged with it, and then it will help you.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the other things he was saying, that when he's had really tough times in his life, because obviously he does a lot of high pressure stuff. He said he just locks himself in his train room and he can't think of anything else because he's concentrating on making his trains or diorama or things like that.
Yeah, well, those trains can't be late.
Yeah, exactly. But he can't think of anything else because he's trying to figure out how to do details and things all the time.
Yeah.
So, second question from Kieran is: how do local groups get set up, and if there isn't one in your area?
Well, there's not one in your area because they haven't got a volunteer to run it. Yeah. Or a volunteer hasn't come forward with the time to be able to run it. So we don't target areas and say, right, who we got here in this area. What we do is we wait until a volunteer comes forward and says, I've got some time to give to set up a session. And we'll say, great. And then they'll just need to find a venue. We support the volunteers with resources and tools and things like that. But finding a venue is down to the volunteer.
Yeah.
Because we haven't got time to do it,
Well, you haven't got the local knowledge either, have you? Really?
No, exactly. So if you go along to your local RBL or you will go to your local community centre in a supermarket, Tesco's usually have one, Waitrose have them as well, and say, can I have your place for free for a couple of hours?
Yeah.
3 hours if possible. And then you've got yourself a venue. And then you get yourself as a volunteer, so you can get the insurance and our knowledge and all that sort of thing. Then we can support you. Yeah, there. Okay. But we don't target places anymore. It just doesn't work. Sometimes some sessions we've set up somewhere nobody's interested at all. Yeah. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. Final one from Kieran, a modelling one. What's Malcolm's greatest save, i.e., recovering from a narrowly avoided mistake or catastrophe?
Oh, I'm talking about modelling, right? Yeah.
Not life.
Gosh, what's my greatest save? It's probably covering something up with the tarp. I expect.
Yes, that's legendary, wasn't it?
Yeah. I can't remember what it was. I think it's the same as everyone else. You put your fingerprint on something you've just about finished. If it's armor, you can stick a tarp on it. Yeah. You can hide it under a tarp. And we actually did a tarp build, didn't we? I don't know if you got involved in a tarp build where everyone had to build something with a tarp on it on purpose.
I didn't get involved with it, but what I did is I looked at the techniques and I used them to make, because I made that one where I called it Courage and Compassion, where it's the tower with with soldiers fighting and nurses and doctors and things.
Oh, okay.
And one of the soldiers is draping a flag over a coffin, so I use it to do that.
There you go. So many different ways of making tarps, and that was what the group build was for, wasn't it? To explore all the different ways. We had a display of tarps at Scale Model World last year, which is just insane. But I can't think of anything specific, but a tarp will cover all ills, unless it's an aircraft.
Yeah,
I think that's what you can do about that. Just sand it out and do it
again. We've got a question from Mr. John Mayfield. Ask Malcolm about the crossbow he built yesterday.
Do I have it here? Yeah, I do. Hang on. Okay, so yesterday was the volunteer day, Models for Heroes. Yeah. So all the volunteers were invited down to a place in Warminster called Factorum, which is a wargaming mecca, let's say.
Yeah.
And they give basically the run of the place for the day. And there's a company nearby Factorum called Bunker Miniatures, and they're offering 10% off to Models for Heroes volunteers and beneficiaries for any 3D printed needs. But they sent me a couple of kits to make. Which one of them was a Raptor that I made, and it comes in a flat sprue, and they put all the bits and pieces together.
Cool.
There's a Jeep as well, which is at the bottom of this bag, and I can't quite see it at the moment. But also a crossbow.
Oh yeah.
All right. Now, so I put the crossbow together. There's a trigger mechanism at the back here. This part is just like a working hinge. It's there's a lot of tension in there if you pull that back, but there's also a lot of power in that too. So I was sitting. Once I'd finished it, I wanted to test it, so I set it up, pulled it back, put the little plastic arrow in, and I said, I had my glasses on. I said, like, I'm firing this crossbow, beware, and I fired it, bing, and this arrow went about 30 feet across the room and hit one of our other directors' legs. And that was 3D printed. So imagine what you could do,
Yeah.
Crazy. It was really good. So there we go. That's the crossbow that I made yesterday.
Jim Alcott, who's one of our viewers, says, question for Malcolm: who is buried in Grant's tomb?
Who's buried in Grant's tomb?
He loves his history.
Grant?
Oh, I have no idea, mate. Yeah, it's one you could look into.
I don't know who Grant is.
Yeah.
What
I think you mean General Grant.
I don't know.
From the American Revolution, American Civil War.
I know nothing about history.
Well, that's probably why you keep asking me to help you with it. Graham says, do you have any local branches or contacts around the UK?
Yes. What specifically does he need?
I think it's just a general question. I think he means rather not just like drop-in centres. I mean, like charity shops or something like
that. No, we don't have any publicly accessible places. I mean, you can make an appointment, come to see us at the HQ in Newbury, which is just off the M4 near Reading, if you wanted to. But if you sign up to the website, if you sign up to the website, you can see all the locations that we exist at.
Yeah.
There's a map on there that you can see. I'm just going to bring it up, but there's 50, 60 locations on there that you can see. And if you wanted to go along to one of those, just there's their contact details on the each pin. Click on the pin where you want to go, and then there's an email address, and you just email the person who runs it and say I'm turning up on Wednesday night. So they know. Just head along. Or is he asking to donate stuff?
Oh, it's not in the question, but I think we've probably answered that anyway. So
okay,
if that is the case. June says, is Malcolm interested in the history of the real aircraft as well as modelling them?
Yeah. I'm not interested in history so much as a hobby. Okay. I'm not very good at reading. I'm not really good at doing research. I like the stories that are involved in vehicles and the people that are involved in why we like these vehicles. And obviously I always have a bugbear with Airfix because they never put pilots in their aircraft anymore, but they have a wheels up option. Now what? I don't get it. The pilot is the most important thing in that aircraft. So why aren't they not making the pilot? I've talked about this many times, but they say it's cost.
Yeah.
I'm interested in the history, I suppose, but not that much. I just like cool vehicles.
Yeah.
Although I was really interested the Battle of Graveney Marsh. You've ever heard of that before?
I think I've heard you mention it.
Yeah, so a Ju-88 crashed. It's in Kent, this marsh bit by the river, and basically it was the last time that British people had been shot at by another nation on British soil. The last recorded time, because the Germans crash landed, they were okay mostly, but they're using their weapons that they had on the J-88 to destroy their bombing site, and the local chaps who were billeted in the pub thought they were under fire, so they returned fire. It all ended happily, and everyone had a pint in their pub. But yeah, it's quite a fun little story.
Hobby Time says, is there a scale modeling group at DMRC?
Defense Medical Rehabilitation Center. Yes. Well, no, there is an actual group. So the DMRC, is it DMRC?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Defense Medical Rehabilitation Center. That's up in Loughborough Way. That we used to be Headley Court.
Yeah.
And then they built a new place and moved up there. But there's not a modeling session, but we do provide them in their light activities room with model kits. We also provided them with remote control kits as well.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was last year. They wanted to do they were starting to run out of model kits basically, and they wanted to kind of re-establish a connection with Models Vero. So I went up there and brought them some stuff that they wanted to do outdoor pursuits with modeling, and the only thing I could think of was remote control. So we bought them some crawler RC, you know, the slow moving Jeeps.
Yeah.
Because they have these terrain in their foyer that's all is made to be difficult to walk across.
Yeah.
So they'll have cobbles, they'll have uneven path stones, they'll have something sort of shiny, you know. And so when you're walking around and doing your rehabilitation with your leg on your knee or loss of leg or whatever, you can test yourself on these little assault courses. But how fun is it to drive a remote control Jeep across them anyway? But what they do is they drive a Jeep across, and then they're expected to walk across by following the Jeep. Which of course isn't. That's not rehab, right? That's not hard. That's not exercise. That's I'm just walking across following my little remote control car. It makes it slightly different. And they also the not instructors or the nurses or the rehab staff,
physios.
Yeah, the physios. They'll take a control of one of the trucks as well, and they'll have races, stuff like that, with the guys in there and the girls in there. And one of the chaps wrote me an email saying the other day he was out with the remote control car with a patient, and the patient was pretty good at it, you know, and they had loss of they had nerve damage in their hand and in their other hand from an explosion, IED, I think it was. And they said that they had adapted the controller with Lego to make it so they could drive it much easier.
Yeah.
Anyway, the staff member's car rolled over.
Yeah.
Okay. So the chap who was disabled had difficulty. He used his car to push upright the staff member's car, and it was then that the patient realized that by using the cars, they were on the same ability level. They were on a level playing field. And it didn't matter that he had very little use of his fingers. He was still able to control this car to save the other guy's car from having to walk across and pick it up and put it back. But that was a significant mental leap for him. It was half the battle, I guess, isn't it? These sort of things. So no, answer to your question, we don't have a modelling session there. I think I don't know what the nearest one is, but we certainly do support them with their resources.
Brian is the final question, by the way. Brian says, do you ever get donated really expensive models? If so, do you auction them to buy more less expensive models or give it to someone to make?
I always want to give them away. Always. However, we get all sorts of stuff donated. All sorts of things. Sometimes all different reasons as well. Legacy donations are quite heart wrenching sometimes because the family either didn't know that their granddad had so many model kits, or they're sad to find out that the actual value of their kits they've made is almost zero. But yes, we do. We get a lot of expensive kits in, and if they're donated for a reason, in that they are donated to be given to a beneficiary to make them feel a bit better about themselves and life and everything else, then we will do so. We will honour that because we are an organisation with a governance, and that governance has to be fulfilled with every donation that we get.
Yeah.
As a caveat to that, if that kit is sat in our storage or our HQ for over a year and nobody has wanted it, no one's requested it, we haven't found anyone who's suitable to give it away, we are just paying for the storage of that kit, which I think is a waste of money. A waste of charitable money. So we will start to consider how can we use this kit better. You know, maybe give it to an organization that can do it as part of an activity, right?
Yeah.
Right. Or we'll have suddenly a beneficiary turn up who does require that particular kit or has wanted it, and we will send it to them. But yes, there have been times where we had a large donation of model soldiers, and they were metal. Nobody's wanted metal soldiers. I think one person ever has wanted metal soldiers as part of their hobby. So we had all these. We just put them on eBay in the end, and we made a significant amount of funds that would allow us to send, obviously, to buy more kits and survive for longer. But we always try to honor the reason that they've been donated.
Yeah,
you know, definitely.
Excellent.
That's really important. Yeah.
Excellent. Oh, I really enjoyed this. Thank you.
That's right. That's a shame it's over.
Yeah. Well, do you want to do some modelling with them?
Yes, please.
Should we let them in?
Let them in. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to switch cameras.